Welcome to the Authentic Heart Podcast. I am Amber Westerman, your host, and today's guest is my friend Jena Brooks. She is a therapist. It's a what is it? Your certification?
Yeah, certified restorative therapist.
Restorative therapist. I did some research ahead of time.
I love that. I know.
And yeah, Jena and I go way back to high school days, and we haven't really connected much since then, maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
Almost 15 years ago.
I know, it's really sad.
It's so crazy.
It gets further and further, like closer to 20 years.
I
and I'm
know,
like, oh my God.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But we're Instagram friends,
Yeah.
and I've been watching her therapy journey online, and I just feel really inspired by your work, and I really love all the things that I see you sharing and posting, and so I've been really excited to bring you on today.
I appreciate it.
Chat on the podcast. So every episode, I like to start off with an affirmation drawing.
Cool.
From
Perfect.
my card deck. This is a card deck that I made of like affirmations that have helped me on my journey and still do.
I saw that you did this.
Yeah.
So cool.
They've been a big part of my life in helping me just like rewire my mind, you know.
For sure. Absolutely.
And so, give it a shuffle and do a drawing for us.
I love this. So you do this every time?
Every episode, yeah. Just a nice way to like kick it off. And,
I know, how fun.
Yeah.
Do you read it or do I read it?
You do the top one.
Okay. What challenge have I overcome recently, and what did it teach me?
Oh, so this one, so there's some journal prompts in here too. I forgot to mention that. You're actually the first person that's drawn a journal prompt.
You're like, oh wait, twist, surprise. Okay, we're gonna get deep real quick.
If you want to share and get a little deep.
Sure, let's just see if I was gonna get hilarious. What gift or lesson my it's like all of these are prompts.
Sounds like we're gonna go deep today.
I guess so. I think this is a sign. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm always overcoming challenges.
I feel that.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me actually. Do you answer this too?
I can, yeah, absolutely.
I'm like, why not? Let's do
it.
Okay, so what challenge have I overcome recently, and what did it teach me? Let's see. I feel like I always have challenges. / I guess we all do. And it's more of like how we want to actually look at that in our life. And I kind of love it because it always I think ultimately it gets me, with your theme, like authentic, right?
Yeah.
It gets me closer, I think, and closer to my truest, like most authentic self, right? And so I'm like, it's hard because it's like, my gosh, there's so many areas. Like it could be even the tiniest things, but I would say probably the most recent is just like really realizing how much I pour out to other people. And I can even get to the point of being a little like self-sacrificial and like nervous to express my needs and what's important for me. And because a lot of times I've just been used to like, I'll just figure it out myself.
Right.
You know? And so I think I've really been trying to challenge myself a little bit more of actually sharing those things and sitting and questioning myself a little bit of like, okay, yes, you can do this. Like, yes, you could be self-sacrificial in this moment, but, you know, is there an element in which you're like abandoning yourself a little bit here, you know?
Which is in the end not actually serving the other person either.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because I'm like, is this a part where I'm like threatened that if I don't do this thing, then it threatens a connection, or I'm going to be perceived a certain way, or do I not want to be a burden? Like there can be just something, there's a little fear that can also be behind it. So yeah, I think my biggest thing recently has just been like trying to focus a little bit more on even like practicing saying no on certain things that maybe like easily I would have just done freely. You know, I'm trying to consider myself a little bit more than I have before.
I love that. And I totally relate. I'm the same.
I'm
the same way. I'm such a people pleaser, and it's so hard for me to say no.
Yeah.
So much. But it feels so good whenever you do.
Yes, for sure. And it's like, I mean, sometimes it is because like, there's like the mix, right? Of where there's the people pleasing because you're like maybe wanting a certain response, but also I think like there is a part of me that wants to also just make someone happy. Like, I enjoy
Right,
that.
yeah.
Like, I'm like, no, I could totally do that. No, I'll be there for you with this. Or no, I
Right.
can do X, Y, Z. And then I feel depleted.
Right.
Or, and then it's like, and it is an interesting balance, because I never would want to swing so hard on the other direction where it's like,
Right.
you don't do things that make you a little uncomfortable, or like push yourself a little bit sometimes, because I can see some people getting a little hyper on the boundaries part if they were like a former people pleaser,
Right.
and then they're always like kind of making it all about themselves.
Right.
So
Yes,
it's like that
I've
nice
seen-
little balance to
Yeah.
kind of figure out, and some areas I think more than others, but
Right. I agree.
yeah. So
Yeah.
probably my biggest challenge.
I love that. I totally relate.
I love that I got the prompt, girl.
Right?
That's hilarious.
I know. It's so fitting. I
I know. I was like, cool, of course.
so fitting.
I know.
All right. What challenge have I overcome recently, and what did it teach me? Well, I'll say a little one that's been big, and it's been like a little one that's repetitively come up for me in my life in the last several years, since like the age of the internet has gotten so crazy, is waking up and like feeling like I want to go straight to a screen to work.
Yeah.
And I like last winter, I got in the habit of letting go of that, and like I deleted my socials for a while, and I only would go on to them on my computer for work if I needed. And then I kind of slowly got back into that, and like just getting back into doing work things on the computer first thing in the morning, just because I feel like I have like a to-do list that I'm constantly wanting to get done, and it's just never getting done,
Yes.
But recently I feel like in the last couple of weeks I've been like, I keep my phone plugged in our guest room, so that it's like away from me, and I don't walk past it going to the kitchen in the morning.
Good.
And I mean, that's been a habit for a while, but that helps me for sure not reach to it or my computer. And then going outside and just like sitting on my couch in the morning first thing with a warm drink.
Yes.
And I feel like that's a challenge that I've overcome in the last couple weeks. It's just really nourishing to go and like have some me time with nature.
So what have you noticed? I'm just curious from that. What have you noticed as a difference by switching up a little bit of the routine? Like, how does that actually feel for you?
I feel like it helps my nervous system throughout the day.
Yeah.
Just be a little bit more grounded, and helps my eyes too, because the big issue that I have is with screens, because I do so much computer work. You wouldn't think as a musician, but it's part of today's world.
Yeah.
And with the podcast editing and stuff. But the screens are really bad for my eyes, and they get really dry and bloodshot, and they hurt, and it's like debilitating, where I have to like lay on the couch with a hot pad on them and rest them and stuff. And so not going to the screens first thing in the morning really helps my eyes just like
even adjust.
Yeah. It just helps my day be a lot more peaceful in many ways.
That's so good, because I feel like that's such an important thing, is like they are subtle shifts, like even just recognizing to be like a lot more calm in the day, but it's so significant, even those subtle things.
Right.
So that's awesome. I love that.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
Feels
Damn
good.
these screens.
I know. I wish there was a way that we could like pursue our careers without them.
I know.
And I'm doing more and more to try to get it. Like I've been working on getting somewhat of like a personal assistant to help me with some of the admin-y things, so that I don't have to be, I feel like there's ways like that you can implement, you like invest in yourself.
Yeah.
To have less of it.
Yes, totally.
It's still
but it's kind of like the times
it's
now.
Inevitable,
like we have to accept it in certain ways, but that's why you want to modify as much as possible. Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, well, let's see. Let's get started.
Yes.
So, being all that you've like gone through as becoming like a therapist, I want to talk a lot about like your therapy work and journey, because being the Authentic Heart podcast, it's everything. I am so passionate about like healing within my own self, and then also being the type of people pleaser that I am. I really love to help others as well, and that's a big part of this. And I don't think that's fully just a people pleasing tendency. It's more of just like it helps me feel like I'm living on purpose.
Purpose.
Yeah, and I really love that.
I love that too.
So I'm just curious with like knowing you from high school. I mean, I don't really remember like any therapy talk back then, but I was
That's accurate. Okay,
I was a totally different person too,
Same.
and completely not self-aware.
Yeah.
So, but it's just fun to like think back, and like if you could think back to the high school version of Jena.
Yes.
What do you understand about her now that you didn't then?
Oh, man. I feel so bad for that girl. Well, because that was probably the most traumatic years was high school, actually. Yeah. And crazy enough, like, I remember so much of my life. Like, I have memories up to, like, 1 year old. But high school, I don't remember a lot of. Like, like, people will be like, you remember this? And I'm like, no.
My husband's that way too.
It's so bad. I'm like, I guess it was really bad during high school. But I think like, oh man, I was just, I was going through like significant things like with my family that felt very much like me disconnected a little bit from like everyone around me. Like I didn't feel like people would really understand. And I felt very much in survival. And I was definitely depressed, but didn't know that. I mean, as you know, which I kind of think is so fun that you know me from high school, but obviously I was like escaping a lot, like partying, drinking, all the things, and there's also not much to do in a small town.
Right, I know, that's all you can do. That and hang out in the Walmart parking lot.
I know, Walmart, Chicken Express, football game, partying at somebody's house or a ranch.
Right.
But I was doing that so much, and I just like was not doing well in school. I just like wanted to be with friends, and it was this mix of like I knew I wasn't happy in some ways and I wanted more, but I had no idea how to actually get there. Like I didn't understand like how to, I guess, feel better, you know? Right. So when I think of that teen me, I think I was really fighting for my life in a lot of ways. And I think a lot of that really started setting in. I think actually it was my senior year is when I started really like wanting to shift some things in my world, and I could tell I was unhappy, and I was like trying to pursue, and it just happened to go down the like road of like faith and like religion, which has on its own been a journey for me. But that's like where it was starting to like head towards at that point, because I was just trying to look for something that was gonna bring some relief and help me understand, which translating over into like therapy world, now that I extra like know stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just came from such trauma. It's pretty typical to like, with certain type of abuse that I experienced, it doesn't allow you to have this full sense of self. And so a lot of times you are trying to find that through something external. Right. A lot of people end up going into like religion, a little bit more specific, like with that, or an identity in something. Right. You know? Right. So kind of how it started, and it's just been this like evolution really ever since. But
is that like what got you into pursuing therapy, was just that journey?
You know, I did start seeing a therapist when I was like 19, and he just felt like I would be a good counselor. That was like what he would say. And I remember thinking, that sounds horrible. I don't want to be that. And like, I know people would come to me like throughout my whole life, like for advice and stuff, and like just felt like I was really good at listening and like a warm presence or whatever. And I didn't really take that as like needing to be a therapist. But so the seeds were started getting planted early. Yeah. But I think as I like really, went to, at 19, I started my own therapy. I have not really stopped. I think that's like really what started it. And I felt like the next thing was like college. And so I was like, well, I don't really care about any of these other subjects. Psychology, I like psychology. So I went for it's all these like steps that ended up just kind of leading there. But I would say like what really kind of made me find the passion for it is I kind of stepped into therapy first. Like I decided to go get my master's in marriage and family therapy because I was like, well, I didn't really know what to do with my life. I was like, if I already have these natural skill sets and like I appreciate therapy, maybe that's where I'll start. So I started school, but simultaneously, I actually was married at the time, and I started to realize I had a lot more trauma than I was aware of.
Marriage will do that.
Oh my God. Yes, it will. It was crazy.
I didn't know you were married.
Oh my God. That's a whole wild story I'm going to have to tell you. It's a wild story. Yeah. But the beautiful thing about that is seeing how much trauma I had. Like I don't regret it because of that. That's what transformed my life. So there's a lot of therapy that I appreciated because I think it planted seeds. I think it met me where I was at. But what transformed me was like this trauma work that I did with this one therapist. Funny enough, she actually texted me today, like checking in, like, because I haven't seen her in a while. She's like, how are you doing? But that changed me completely. And then I really, really, really saw what can happen like with therapy, you know?
Yeah.
Having the right fit, having the right therapist, and also someone who understands, like, what I was personally seeking.
Right.
I needed some specifics, and she knew how to do all of that. And I mean, I'm not even close to the same person. So that fueled a lot of passion for me because I was like, this is what I would want to bring for people. Because I like, I'm not trying to bash on any therapy. I think that like sometimes it's good to just go in and hash things out or like come up with plans and da-da-da. But I needed transformational. Yeah.
I really love that because I personally do sometimes like to bash therapy.
No, I get it.
Because I should, I mean, I don't know if I should or shouldn't, but it's, I haven't had a ton of therapy myself, but from what I've heard from friends who have had a ton of therapy and from my one experience with a therapist, which was horrible, I'm like I'm so cautious with the idea of it, but like I know that there's therapists out there that I would connect with. Like I know I connect with the things that you talk about. I have a couple other friends too, and I've worked with a friend who is very similar to a therapist, and she has like helped me transform in many ways too.
Yes, yeah.
But I was actually going to ask you that, like, what restorative therapist, like how different it is from other therapy practices, and like if through your journey with getting therapy yourself, have you had any therapists that were like not a fit for you? Totally. And how did you know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That was like 5 questions.
You're like, wait, just tell me all the things. No, I definitely have to say, I think it is good to go in with caution. To be honest, it's like the same thing, like even with a doctor. You don't just want to trust all the doctors.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, like some aren't even actually willing to go look at the root or anything, and they're just going to prescribe something, or they're not really listening to you. It's the same concept over in therapy world. Honestly, even when I was going through my master's, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Some of my fellow classmates, I'm concerned that y'all are going to be therapists out in the world. And I am like, so I think at the end of the day, it's just remembering like we're all human.
Right.
And it's imperfect. And so, yes, you do want to be a little bit cautious, I think, not in like this big fearful way, but like in a wisdom way, you know? I've definitely had counselors not be the fit. I personally do not want to just sit and feel like I have to fill the space the whole time. Like as the client, I don't want to sit there and feel like I'm literally just yapping.
Right.
I need your feedback. I'm looking for feedback. And I know in school, a lot of times, and this is kind of the messed up stuff. This is okay. I feel like about to be a whole tangent, but
okay. I'm here for it.
Okay, good. Okay. So they definitely teach these big basics that I feel like are outdated. It's very traditional. It's a lot of the how does that make you feel?
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, oh, and I did not like that. So when I had therapists do that with me, I'm like, okay, but nothing's changing, and I'm literally coming for you or to you to help things change. Like I don't know, help me see my blind spots. I'm not aware of this stuff. Give me language for things. So anyways, definitely have a problem with that. It's definitely things not fully learned in school. And you have to go.
Which is crazy.
I know.
It's so crazy.
I think that's so crazy.
So much about schools.
And that's why I get like, it like kills me a little inside because I'm like, if people really knew what to search for therapy and all that kind of stuff, they could have some really great freaking experiences, but it does take some looking because of
takes work.
Yeah, because like I don't blame some of these therapists. Like I
Right.
wouldn't have known unless I did so much of my own deep diving, and thankfully finding a therapist, I didn't realize how deep it could go.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like I'm not trying to like also bash them, and I think that they can sometimes be like sometimes that reminds me of more seed planting or planting the seeds. But yeah, you want to, if you're ready for something, like you already have a level of self-awareness and you're looking for the more, then yeah, you're going to want to like
be very intentional.
Yes. And so
That
I've
totally
come to
makes
find,
sense.
like, usually if, like, say somebody who's listening is kind of on that path, like, a lot of times I tell them to, like, look for, definitely have the phone consultation first to just get a vibe and ask some questions. But, like, see if they're aware of, like, trauma. How do they approach trauma? Are they even aware of, like, addiction type stuff, complex PTSD? Just kind of asking some of these things, because I've noticed that people who have a little more skill set in that area tend to think of like some bigger picture type stuff. And then again, then with that, you just like also want to see if it's like a personality fit.
Right.
So it's a little
Sure.
trial and error. But people can also, like anybody listening can feel free to reach out to me. Like if they're looking for somebody and they like need help, even I love doing that. Like if I'm not a fit for somebody, that's fine.
Yeah.
I would love to help guide them because I want transformation for them too.
Right.
Something that you were also saying, I think, of like the certified restorative therapist.
Yeah.
I'm glad you bring this up. I bring this up with my clients at the beginning. So I have my master's in marriage and family therapy, and I was going to be a licensed marriage and family therapist. But right at licensure, I decided to pivot because I didn't like how restrictive it was at the time. Like I couldn't have had my own practice for a little while. You have to pay for supervision for like another 2.5 years. And you're not fully licensed. You're like a licensed associate, and you have to get like 2,500 hours. I can't even remember how many hours, but it's about 2.5-ish years worth. And with the supervision and paying for that supervision and not being able to fully have your practice. And there was so much restriction, and I get it. Like I think, especially if you're working with certain type of clients, like suicide, actively, sincerely suicidal clients, or people with maybe major like disorders of some kind, like a personality disorder, things like that. I think you need to have a lot more parameters. But for me and what I was going for, I didn't like that. That didn't feel right for me. Felt like it was too restrictive. / I wanted to be able to see people outside of Texas.
Right.
So apparently there's this certification that I found out about through my old therapist. And it's technically a faith-based one, but it is recognized in the state of Texas as like it's a legitimate therapist. Awesome. So I have that title, but I have a big boundary actually in my therapy. I don't talk about faith unless they want to bring up faith themselves. Like to me, that's your own walk, and I don't want to touch it at all. Like don't put me into that, because that's your own own experience that I want you to figure out. And people are already coming in vulnerable.
Right.
And my words do have influence. Yeah. And I just don't want to have influence in that particular area, because I do think that that's an area that gets spoken in a little too much, that it can really mess up a person for a while.
It's a very personal journey. Yeah.
Deeply, deeply. So that's technically what I'm under and what I operate under. And it does allow me, like I have a client in the UK. I have clients in Alaska. Like I get to have people all over the place, which is really, really cool. I love that. And I always tell them this at the very beginning of session. And I'm like, hey, if you are actively suicidal, or any of this needs to be for court purposes, please go see someone licensed. But this, and then I'll tell them like my approach, how I work, and and if that aligns with them, that feels good for them, then
that's awesome.
We come up with a whole plan.
Yeah.
But yes, kind of circling back, you kind of do need to date a therapist a little bit to figure out a fit. And kind of like I was saying, people are coming in like pretty darn vulnerable and really looking for help. And so, it makes sense of why you want to be a picky choosy.
Right.
I definitely am.
Yeah. So whenever you work with clients as a therapist, obviously you said you're not the type of one that's like lets the client like take up the space the whole time?
Yeah.
Is it like you're helping with like feedback and just like tools and techniques to help them through?
Yeah, a lot of
things?
what I love, like my favorite thing to do is I even tell them clients like I'm a very much get to the root person.
Yeah.
And I was like, but we're collaborating here. I'm a very much get to the root, so I'm going to call some things out. Sometimes I'll not even know exactly, but I'm just picking up on something and I'll present it to them, and like you give me feedback. We're working on this together. We're exploring and discovering at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like we kind of go into these phases where like at the very beginning, I love to get a really thorough history. And that's even like going to like grandparents because I'm trying to pick up, well, first of all, our brain is quite literally developed off of all of our experiences.
Right.
And as kids, we only have access to the emotional part of our brain. So our reality, everything that became like our beliefs of like who we are, our identity, how we operate in the world, our purpose, that was based off the feeling reality as a kid. And our prefrontal cortex, our logic and reason isn't done developing until 25, 26. So I'm trying to really also hear like what was contributing to what basically kind of made your computer system.
Right.
So we'll do like a really deep, thorough history. And I also do it because when clients talk to me about it, they start recognizing patterns. When they just like streamline, we'll talk about dad and dad's upbringing, mom's upbringing, or whoever major caregivers were, and then they start being like, oh my gosh, I wonder if I have this because my dad had, like they'll start to connect little dots, which I love. And then another purpose to that is like I also want them to, I really, really try to communicate that I'm not trying to demonize or villainize parents, but humanize them.
Yeah.
And so that it's kind of remembering that we're just all very imperfect with our own
so important,
stuff
yeah,
and our own mess. And I'm not here to try to bash or anything, but I want to talk about impact.
Right.
And so that's kind of like the foundation we set. So it's a lot of discovery. I'm going over needs that weren't necessarily met as kids, how that could impact them as an adult, how that could impact their relationships today, all that kind of stuff. And then we move into, I like to do sometimes inner child work with some people. Like we really need to do a little more subconscious.
That's what I would do a lot with my friend who was coaching me for a while.
I mean, it's transformative.
It's so transformative.
You're really getting into the subconscious. And what's cool is, I mean, it's kind of like you're restructuring memories in some ways, or like, and so meeting some needs that are actually stuck, like, because it's very encoded in there, and you're meeting it finally, so it actually allows those certain areas to develop. So you really are switching up your brain, like it's like a computer update, So very cool. I love doing that. And then there's some other things, but I very much have to meet the client where they're at. Some people are ready for it, some people are not ready for it.
Right.
So I might do more somatic type stuff to kind of start getting them a little bit more into their body and awareness there. It's very client dependent. And then I think it kind of, after that phase, we kind of get into like the actual application, kind of just hearing how all of that's actually going in their world and like any updates and that kind of thing along the way. Right. And along with all that, I even let them know, like, this is kind of like our trajectory. This is where we're headed. But at any point, if you want to come in here and have just a vent session, please.
Sometimes that's needed.
Yeah, I'm like, I totally get that. Like, this is not, we don't have to do this step by step, but I'm letting you know, like, this, like, loose plan and the direction we're going. I also like to let people know, like, if you're looking for, like, transformation, it takes time and it takes consistency. It takes sometimes years.
Hard truth.
Yeah. And
the hard truth.
The hard truth, because I was like, think about it. Like, what? You want to become a bodybuilder?
Right.
Think of how much consistency goes into that. And honestly, how much time, like, that can take for the real transformation. Years or a year. Let's say earliest a year or 2 years. Just so you know, like, just to be in reality about this, and hopefully also to take the pressure off a little bit. But I was like, but in the meantime, you're going to get results. Like when you're having that body transformation,
little
you'll
moments.
lose weight. You'll see muscle kick in. You'll notice you're making better choices. That those things happen along the way.
Right.
And those are the little motivators, I think, to help you keep going.
Right.
But I do, based on that type of work that I do, that's what I want to make sure they know is it just takes time. Because yes, we could just do solution focused stuff and I can help you, you know, figure out how to handle one little problem with somebody. We can do that, and we can knock that out probably in a few sessions. But if you're looking for like
long-term
growth. I'm noticing like I'm at a disconnect. Like, why do I know better logically, but I'm still having these responses physically or in my emotions, whatever, like that disconnect's happening. That's what's going to take some time.
Right, because it's an ingrained habit. It's like an addiction of sense. We get addicted to the way that we respond to things based on what makes us feel safe and unsafe. And it reminds me of, there's this naturopath that's a family friend of ours, and whenever I first met him, he was like on stage giving a talk, and he was talking about like food, you know, being medicine, and how he was like, the issues that you're dealing with in your body and your gut, like it's taken you how old are you? 20, 30, 40, 50 years to get to where you are?
Yeah.
It's not going to be 1 year to get back.
Yeah.
Like it's a long-term thing. It can take just as long, you know, to really unravel it.
Yeah, and I think it's like at the end of it, just kind of this is what I've learned for me, and this is what I hope to like kind of share with other people. But because I used to think that I needed to get to a certain point, but what I really came to realize is there are some like initial things that really needed to shift, and they did. And now it's more like I just know how to be with myself now for the mess that comes up, because that is life. That's inevitable. It's a roller coaster. It's not perfect. It's going to be messy. So it's like learning the tools to actually be like my greatest friend, like through it, and still love myself and know my worth and know my, like truly and deeply. That is the transformation. That's everything right there.
I love that.
Because there's no way, like I even share this. I'm like, okay, guys, if our brain was quite literally formed off of every experience, ain't no way we're getting to every single one of them. Like, it's kind of like just accepting the imperfection. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, I feel like I've kind of trained myself to see that even those moments of like imperfection, failure, mistakes, all of the bad things are actually kind of blessings too.
Yes.
Because they help boost us, and they teach us things that are going to impact our next choices. And sometimes it might make the next choice worse. But sometimes, like, eventually I don't know, like, the more we work on ourselves, the more we do learn from them. And we wouldn't, like, I wouldn't be the person I am today if I didn't battle with all of the childhood trauma that I went through.
Right.
And so I see its purpose now. And I think that's an important part of it, is just, like, not only fully being present and being there for it, but also like seeing that there's value to it.
Yes. And like it gives us more purpose when there's challenge.
Right.
So we actually, you know, like if we imagined a world where there was nothing like that.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of makes
boring.
It kind of makes everything dull, and it's like, okay, like it doesn't have. So when you know grief, then you should simultaneously then be able to really know joy, because you're feeling such the contrast, right? And so it's like, and I can't remember, my gosh, I'm going to butcher it, but there was some sort of like experiment like went around, and they did like on mice, and I think they tried to give them like the most perfect environment, and it kind of gave them like the mice like no purpose, and they like died off. I am so butchering that, I know.
Yeah.
But ultimately I think it's like kind of showing that message that at the end of the day we need challenge.
Right.
It does make us appreciate more, you know, or savor things more, right?
That's so true.
And I'm not taking away the fact that some things I think feel heavier than they need to be because of these, like, you know, whatever it may be in your past. Like, I want those things to be addressed, but it's also simultaneously accepting that life is gonna always have its challenges, and it's okay, like, that you don't respond to everything perfectly, and we're always just like figuring it out. Yeah. You know, but like I said, I think the most beautiful thing is just if you can really be your friend at the end of the day and like build that resilience. Like, hey, I have been through hard things and I can get through this.
Right.
Like, this is so painful right now. I'm really glad I know how to like hold pain.
Yeah.
Because before I didn't, and I would try to run away from it or escape or whatever. So it's building capacity for the fullness of life.
Hold the pain.
All the parts of life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's so powerful. I know that's a part of like the journey that I've been on, is like allowing myself to like I was kind of in a similar place, like headspace whenever I was younger too, of like, I'm pretty sure I was depressed for a majority of my childhood and I didn't know it.
Totally.
And,
totally.
Like unraveling that and learning that and just like allowing myself, and it still is hard to like allow myself to sit and be with my feelings and my emotions and just experience them and let them come out. But it's so important to be able to do that, because the more we run from them, the more disconnected we come from ourselves.
Yes.
And reactive we get in life. And
yes. I can't even tolerate that. I was so reactive before, and like now, like I'm so connected to myself. Like, okay, I'm sorry if this is TMI, but whatever. Like even with my boyfriend, we had like a little conflict, and like before I would have been like super reactive about stuff, and like now, like it just will make me like cry a little bit, because I'm sad. Like I'm sad that we feel disconnected. And I'm like, who is this girl? Before I would have been like, we have to talk this out until da 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 da. Like we need to figure out everything, and like I'm angry or whatever. I'm like out of control. But like at least I could be so connected to myself that I'm like, it's okay to have a little bit of tears. That actually, like I know crying now, like obviously I guess people can use it for manipulation or whatever.
Right.
But if you're like sincerely crying, it like helps release your cortisol. So it actually is a release.
Right.
So I'm like, even just knowing those things are so helpful for these moments, hard moments in life.
Yeah, so helpful, and helpful to not judge yourself for it too.
Totally.
I feel like that's a big part of it.
Oh yeah.
It's like judging yourself for your mishaps and faults and
easily. Oh, people can have a really harsh inner critic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How do you like help people get out? I mean, I'm sure it's different between
totally
with every person, but is there any like common threads that you see, and like is there any overarching things that you do to help with people getting out of that, like self-judgment?
Oh, the inner critic stuff. Yeah, for sure. A lot of people have a strong inner critic, because at the end of the day, most of us had some sort of needs not met and some dysfunction in our background. To be honest, if I'm being so for real, I've only maybe met one client who came in and I was like, wow, I don't think you have really anything in your background, and I'm very surprised about that.
Aww.
So most people do.
Yeah.
Just whether they want to really, whether they really want to like share that or not, coming from getting to see behind the scenes. But so we will have either critics that it could have been like our parents, it could have been peers, it could have been like teachers, whatever. But at some point, these messages were said about us that we, as kids, usually we end up, especially if we weren't able to talk it out at all or be met in those places, we internalize it. And then it can create a shame around our own self and our identity. And then we start partnering with that like developed voice. And then it also starts to become a little bit of like a protective mechanism, kind of like I'm going to beat you to the punch. Like I'm afraid that this person would have this kind of reaction or response or judgment or criticism or whatever about me. So I'm doing that for myself before you can. So I do like to maybe try to find areas in which like, where did that critic voice get developed? What could have contributed to that? Where were you not met in certain ways that maybe you needed at that time? Like get to know a little bit more of those inner workings. But then I also like to describe all the ways an inner critic can show up. Like there's so many characteristics of an inner critic. There's perfection. There's shoulding, like I should do this, I shouldn't do that. I
try to steer clear from that word. Or
I
like
noticed earlier. I was like, good
job,
girl.
What I should or shouldn't do.
I was like, that was really good.
I don't like that word.
No, it was so great. I noticed it actually. I was like, good for her. So yeah, the shoulding thing, devaluing comparison to others or your most perfect moments. guilt tripping, busyholic, hypochondriacizing. There's so many little things that can be contributed to this inner critic that lives internally.
So crazy.
I know.
It's a whole world
It's
that nobody can see except for you.
I know.
And then you can't even really see it a lot of the time.
And then how do you ever really know unless you like have somebody
Hash
like
it out.
yes, I wouldn't have known. And like knowing all the legs that it had, I was like, oh my gosh. So we I like to have my clients like kind of get to know also how it can show up, and then I like them to be their own little observer and data gatherer and like see without judgment, pick up on how it's showing up. We'll pick maybe their like top 3 to 5 ways the critic shows up, and then go recognize it out in the world. That's like the real big thing with therapy. You gotta take everything from the session.
Do the work.
Yeah, outside of the session. Because there's some people who do not do that.
Yeah.
You're not going to see big changes there. But the people who do, I see crazy, amazing changes.
Yeah.
But so yeah, they just kind of data gather. And then I like them to get connected. The next step would be a little connected to their body. So that would be like the raw emotions kicking in. Like, is there a lot of fear around that? Is there a lot of pain around that? Are you actually carrying a lot of anger? So that we can just kind of see maybe some areas that also need to be released. And then ultimately replacing it with a voice that's a lot more compassionate. So we're trying to, kind of deaden off that neural pathway that's so conditioned to this criticism, this inner critic, and all the ways it can show up, and create a new neural pathway that becomes a lot more automatic. That inner critic will probably always a little bit be there in the background, doesn't just like fully go away. But certainly this compassionate voice can be a lot more dominant. So, I would say a lot of people have an inner critic to some degree. Just some people's inner critic.
Just part of being human.
Yeah. Some people's is just very strong.
Right.
And that usually came like with a lot of criticism in their background and a lot of unmet needs. So super varying, but most people I would say have at least a degree of that inner critic.
That makes sense. I know I battle with one.
Oh, yeah, same.
I've gotten a lot better. Meditation has helped me a lot with it. Just
affirmations.
Affirmations have helped me so much. I don't really anymore, but used to write them on my bathroom mirror.
Yeah.
You can see in my room, I've got like vision boards, and those I use as affirmations.
Too. Yes.
Those have been from over the last like 10 years.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. I love that.
Yeah, some of them are Phil's too. You can tell them more like manly ones. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like, my inner critic is loud, and I've done a lot of work to like calm it down. And it's funny, I feel like a lot of my friends, especially like new friends, when they start to get to know me, I can tend to be a very positive person, and I think some people think it can be like a level of toxic positivity.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, to me, it's not. I've like literally rewired my mind to find a positive in everything.
Yeah, that's good.
Because I like feel like there is light to everything, and it's like I want to help other people see that too, you know. And I remember having a conversation recently with a friend like that, and it just made me think of that, like how I don't try to make it sound overly overly positive when I'm talking to people, but it's I think it's just something that you can really train your mind to do. It just takes so long. It's taken me 10, 15 years to get to where I am with it.
It's a lot of training. Yeah. It's because you're really trying to literally create a new neural pathway. I mean, that's like some brain restructuring that's actually happening. And so it is a lot consistently, you know, and like, I think toxic positivity is if you aren't able to see the other side. Right. You know, if you're not able to see like, okay, yes, we are going to see the positive. However, it's also okay for me to experience pain in this moment and be sad. Like, you know, if that was negated, that's to me toxic positivity. But being able to see the positive in any situation, I think is a great thing to have. Right. You know, I don't think that is toxic positive. Right. Toxic positivity.
Agreed. Yeah. And I think sometimes it can be hard if somebody's not ready to be at that level themselves because they haven't processing. Sometimes they can experience it as that too. Yep. And that's okay too. It's for sure. Like where people are.
Yep. And some people just like, they're like, I really don't, and it's fair. Like sometimes in certain moments, you just want somebody to sit with you and like the heart of it.
Right.
And then like once that's, you know, validated and like just like sat with, like it's okay, it's safe that it exists.
Right.
Then you can get into that part of like bringing the
Yeah.
positive spin. Totally.
Yeah. That makes me think of like a little personal, like me and my husband sometimes when we're like going through stuff.
Yeah.
And, or if like I'm going through something in my personal life and I'm just like venting and crying and
Yeah.
letting it all out.
Yeah.
Sometimes like we both can be the like uplifter type of person, and he'll be
Totally.
like, your mind is doing this to you, da 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 da. Like
You're like,
like
I know,
you can
okay.
step out. I'm like, sometimes I just need you to listen.
Exactly.
Like, give me some space. Just like don't say anything.
Yes. Yes. Just sit with me and tell me
Yeah.
it sucks.
Yeah. That's important too.
It is. It really is, though. That's like
Yeah.
kind of reeling it back to when I said, like, I let myself cry or whatever. Like, I just
Yeah.
need to let myself cry. Don't fix it. You don't have to, like, feel
Right.
bad that I'm crying. Like, that's not it. I just needed to cry.
Right.
You know, like, it's a release. It's different if you're, like, nursing it, rehearsing it, and just sitting
Right.
all day and whatever, right?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, we need that just to like, it's okay that this part also exists and we don't have to run from it. We don't have to push through it. We can actually, it's safe to feel this because we
Right.
know that there's another side. Like
Yeah.
we're gonna get through it.
And sometimes that other side, I feel like magically like reveals itself to you after
Yeah.
you let it all come out.
Exactly, because you're actually regulating your nervous system. So you
Right.
actually can think clearer
And
on the other
see,
side of
yeah.
it. But once that part's met, that it's validated, it's safe to exist,
Yeah.
it calms it all down. And that's
Yeah.
why it's usually, it just pops right up on the other side. It's like, you know what, actually, this is fine. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. I love that. So you have different things that you specialize. You were kind of talking about that earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
You specialize in like trauma. I was looking at your website and stuff. Complex PTSD.
Yes.
Stepping out of abusive patterns. I'm kind of actually really curious about the complex PTSD kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's something that I feel like I've been like processing through in my own life.
That's amazing.
Got PTSD. I mean, I've been doing it like on my own a lot lately, but it's still like
That's okay.
Yeah, it still is. Yeah, I've been noticing more that I have like PTSD in certain areas in my life and trying to work through them. So I'm very curious of just like what is the difference of complex PTSD versus just PTSD?
Yeah, PTSD has a little bit more of like you witnessed or experienced yourself like a very significant event. Like it could have been some like a tornado, or it could have been combat, murder, you know. The list goes on and on. I think we can fill in there. Yeah. But so that's more of a PTSD kind of situation. Complex PTSD is long term. I kind of like to call it like the death by 1,000 cuts. It can be as little as like an emotional neglect, right? Like let's say as a kid, your parent you could never go to them with any of your emotions, and let's say it was always shut down, or you're too much, or whatever that is. It's these little cuts over time, and you don't get to actually fully develop this like sense of self as a person. You don't get to build necessarily this like appropriate resilience, and so you can see it show up, especially I feel like nowadays, you like as we become like older. We see it show up in like our relationships, our sense of self. It could feel like we're behind, like everyone else has things figured out, but we don't. And yeah, it almost, to me, it has more of a imprint to your person, like to your identity, your sense of self, as opposed to PTSD that's just a little bit more of that lived experience in the body that's so intense. You can have that in complex PTSD as well. Like there's like emotional flashbacks almost, like where, let's say, and I'm totally making this up, but like you were in an argument with your partner and it's feels like another time in your life, but it's like so intense. And sometimes those level of flashbacks can, I mean, sometimes can be debilitating for people, and then sometimes it's not as debilitating. But so different, but one's a lot more the long-term effects.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
100%. Yeah. I can definitely understand that. I'm curious, like, how, because I know from my own experience, I feel like complex PTSD is more of like some things that I've been battling. Like, what is, like, how do you, in your practice and in your experience working with people, how do you even begin to help somebody move through that?
Yeah, it's a
personal
journey.
thing, probably.
It's a journey. That's like what has been my big shift, because I found out I have complex PTSD, and I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So really, what I like to do, and it's a bunch of different little pathways to get there. I'm really gonna take into account where the client's at and what they're ready for, but ultimately, it's again kind of what I was sharing, where we're gonna try to understand their brain.
Mm-hmm.
Certain needs that weren't met, the impact of these things in their world, catching that inner critic. A lot of times, inner critic, usually is a part of the complex PTSD. Catching that, developing a voice of self-compassion. I really love doing inner child work with complex PTSD because of that, because it's like coming in as that loving parent that you really needed as a kid in certain ways. And that's like not to say that the parents did so awful.
Yeah.
They can have showed up and like my mom was amazing, but she did, when I got into reality, there was an impact on certain things that did hurt me deeply, and I didn't realize. But anyways, so it's a lot of that process, and I'm trying to also help them build a strong sense of self, and it like, to me, it's kind of like very connected in place. Like, instead of being so in your logic and reason as an adult and maybe explaining away the things of the past, that tends to keep people up here, and they're having a hard time connecting to themselves and what they're actually feeling. Like for instance, honestly, even in my complex PTSD, I didn't know what emotions I was actually feeling a lot of times. I would be like, yeah, I'm angry. But if I actually connected to my body, I wasn't. I was like, I was scared. But I didn't know that until I walked this all out. So it, again, different levels of how it shows up for people, but I want them to even understand how you can experience that in your body. Learn to create safety in your body, a capacity in your body to handle these emotions, not just move through them so quickly. So it's a lot. It ultimately, we are wanting to integrate everything together, and that's kind of the process. Again, I know it kind of sounds maybe a little up in the air in some ways and how I'm explaining it, but...
Well, I get it. It's because it's hard, because literally everybody's on their own path. And so it's going to be different for everybody.
Yes, exactly. So it's got that like loose structure again to it. But really, that is the big thing, is just like developing that strong sense of self, creating more safety and capacity in the body, and like also with that is going to be a lot more like self-trust, and it allows a lot of these areas internally. It's like a subconscious kind of reprogramming, just allowing your brain to basically get its update, and you feel a lot more integrated and aligned in yourself, because a lot of people feel like they know better, but they just can't get there. And so we're trying to get that all connected. So
if there was like one general tool that you could share with my audience that like can help somebody reconnect with themselves in like a moment like that, where maybe they're like experiencing something from PTSD that's like bringing stuff up in them, like what would you suggest?
That's
which
tough.
I know everyone's so different.
I know. I would say just like slowing it down for a second, like using that as a cue to slow it down. Take a breath, like the 4 seconds in through your nose, 6 seconds out through your mouth. Diaphragmatic breathing, so making sure it's through your belly. Big, but just trying to slow it down in that moment. Observe yourself, like try to, and I know that that's so hard for some people, so I'm like trying to say this very gently, but if that could be like the one thing that at least to start with. But honestly, if like for anybody who is listening, like if these things felt so deeply resonating, I really would suggest going to find somebody, or at least starting the process of reading up on it, so that if you're looking for a therapist, you could maybe bring up some things that are important and see if it fits.
Have something, yeah.
But there's also something so needed and necessary for that part to be like, it's kind of like a co-regulating, like having a person in that space with you and not doing it alone is actually, I think, a huge part of the healing.
Right.
And so I know, like, maybe that's not always, it's hard. I know the
Yeah.
hard part of finding somebody, but that would be like really good. I really know too, if anyone feels like for complex PTSD, there's like coherence therapy, that's like becoming increasingly popular. And I know I've seen people, it's like some Instagram accounts with that. But you can definitely start.
There's a lot of free things you can
so much free
access
stuff
these days.
Yes. And like at bare minimum, even reaching out to even those accounts and just seeing if they have anything that they suggest or someone they can pinpoint and stuff like that. But I would highly suggest that. But at least in the moment, like for when things kick in, you know, try to just slow it down.
Yeah.
Slow it down, breathe. Take a beat.
Great advice.
Maybe you need to literally take a nap. Maybe you need to walk outside.
Right.
Maybe you need a snack.
You know, that's funny because whenever I first started working with my friend, she calls herself a love coach, and she's like a life coach.
Yeah.
But for self-love.
Beautiful.
And I always told her, I was like, if I ever need somebody, I'm going to you. And then I got to a point where I needed someone, and I went to her, and the first thing she like some kind of assigned me, I guess, to like help myself with what I was going through. She's like, you need your afternoon naps, girl. Like 20 minutes at least.
Yeah.
Every afternoon, take a nap. And I will tell you, it like changed my life.
I know, it's so true, because it's also paying attention to what you actually need. It kind of takes us to some basics, you know? Like sometimes we do forget, hey, I need a rest, or I really need to sleep it off for a second, or I need a snack.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of hangry. Like it's the basics that we can tend to overlook, especially as adults, especially as like maybe super, which I see a lot of times with complex PTSD, people who are very hardworking and filling up their time and like high achieving and like even thinking of those basics is actually difficult, and making space for those basics is difficult. Right. So sounds simple, but it can help make a big shift. Right. So I'm like, 100%. Yes, I get that 20-minute nap daily. Yeah.
I don't actually need them anymore, but I do go on like walks and like sit on my back porch and things like that help give me that space.
And just to that point too, real quick, that you even said like I don't even fully need them anymore. That's also the beauty of it. Like we keep getting to meet ourselves over and over. Like we're not the same, I guess, if we really want to be self-aware and keep doing the work, we are constantly changing. Yeah. So what might be great and needed in a certain season can shift to the next. Right. You know, like right now my thing is walking. I don't know if that will ever change or not, but it's so great for right now. Like especially
maybe in the heat of the summer it'll change.
I know. I was like, I'll be going inside the gym for that. But that's so great for like, I'm a overthinker. Like, oh my God, sometimes I'll be in a spiral in my thoughts. And I actually tried out those color walks. Have you heard of those? No. Oh my God. At first I was so judgy. I was like, oh my God, that's so stupid. And I did it. It worked. So you're about to go on a walk. You pick a color and then you're just looking for that color on your walk. The purpose of it is to help get your brain out of its like overdrive.
That makes sense.
So you're present, you're looking for like this one color all around you, but it also simplifies your thoughts. So it helps get you out of that spin out into like a more simplified state. And I noticed it was so funny because I was like, I picked the color red. And so I was just like on my walk, I did not think that this would work for me, but it totally did. And then I was like having the most simple thoughts like, oh my God, wow, a red door. And I was like, red bird feeder. And I was like, another red bird feeder. I was like, I wonder if there's a reason why bird feeders tend to be red. And then I was like, and then I noticed I had that thought and I was like, oh wait, this is so great. I needed something so simple because my brain was freaking out. So anyways, another one to kind of like throw in.
Yeah. I love that. That makes so much sense. It reminds me of a tool. I don't even remember who told me or where I found it from, maybe researching online, of like helping with anxiety, because I've had a couple of anxiety attacks in my adulthood. Yes. And my worst one I ever had was at night, and I remember going downstairs and remembering that like one of the big tools I found was that like like look at all the different things in your surroundings and describe it to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, that's a plant. It's green.
Yes.
It's got long leaves.
Yes.
And like just telling
It's your
yourself, because
senses.
it like takes you out of that mental spiral.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And that kind of goes with that, like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 things you hear or see, 4 things you can touch, 3.
Yeah.
It's practicing
Yeah,
your senses. It's getting grounded. It's being in the present moment does
Right.
shift the part of your brain
It's
that you're
crazy
using.
how well it works.
I
It's
know.
crazy. Like, we don't realize how deeply we are stuck in our thoughts until
For
we have
real.
tools like that.
Yeah, we can go
experience
go hard
it. Yeah.
on it. Yeah. I know, that's
Yeah.
like my place. I have to be very, if I'm like deeply in thought, I'm like, Jenna, you've been in
Yeah.
there too long. You've got to like get back to simplicity. Like,
Yeah.
simplicity, that's why it's like the snack or nap or like keeping it basic. 'Cause
Right.
another thing you can see in complex PTSD and stuff like that is being super in your brain, even to
Yeah.
sometimes a very dissociated place. Like, I'm not even connected to me, my physical
Right.
body really anymore. You know,
Yeah.
I had that struggle for the longest time. So those type of tools like are everything.
So, yeah. That makes sense. I've never thought about doing something like that. Not in an anxiety attack. Just
Right.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I'll have to try that.
Yeah, we think of it sometimes in the extremes, right? Like, where
Right.
it's an anxiety attack level, but it could just be like when your brain's just
So simple.
a little extra going
Yeah.
off, and you just need to be a little bit more back into present. You just want that part to just chill.
Yeah.
You know, you're changing kind of I think your state.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we've been used to being in a certain state where it's a little bit, we're used to the overwhelm.
Right.
So that's why, again, we're kind of shifting capacity and where we really sit at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For that reason, I love the like tool that you shared of just like taking a moment and slowing down for anyone like stuck in their stuff, because I feel like that is, I mean, I'm not a therapist and I don't work with people, but I feel like just knowing this day and age and the society
Yes.
here, like
Oh my
we've all been kind of brainwashed to just like
Be so good.
be pushers and
Yep.
constantly be working and
Yes.
putting ourselves out there, and we were never taught to slow down.
Exactly.
And
if anything, we're being taught to speed up even
Yeah.
more. And so that's why you got to be the one to figure it out and manage it yourself. Like,
Yeah.
no one else can do this for you, you know? Like, we have to
Yeah.
be the one to recognize this and do
Yeah.
something about it. I will say, just to add, you know, for anyone who's listening, I do notice, like, especially that pause, that's good for like all times. But where I really notice that being important is actually like if you're in relationship. Oh my gosh, with so many, because I see couples too. If I could teach that to be one tool for people, is actually taking pauses and not trying to hash it all out, because our nervous systems can be just so off and everything's so heightened where it shuts down a part of our brain that can think clearly. Like, we're not thinking
Right.
clearly anymore. It's not productive.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, take a pause, but that's like freaking hard for some people.
It is really hard.
For me,
I know
it was.
Phil and I, we get in moments where we're heated like that.
Yes,
And then
everyone
like
does.
one of us has to go and he drives off and we have a moment and he
Yes.
calls me, he's like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
He's like, can I come home?
Yeah.
Let me back in. Yeah, I was like, I remember my therapist telling me I needed to like pause and stuff, and I thought it was the worst thing. I was like, no, because I want
Yeah.
to just hash it out. Like, I want to feel connected. Like, it freaked me
Right.
out to not talk it all out, but it was like the best thing ever for me, and it actually stretched me in all these other areas where I'm
Right.
like, oh, like, actually slowing it down is actually really good, because I can think clearer. I
Right.
can then communicate what's important, or I can even see myself a little bit more clearly, you know?
Right.
So I just know that happens to be a lot of people's like easy heightened points. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I just want to bring that up. Little caveat to it though, if you do take a pause, you have to
Yeah.
have to give the rules real quick. You have to be able to say, like, it's like that compliment sandwich, like, I love you, I appreciate you, I need to go regulate, and and you say how much time, like 20 minutes, an hour, whatever, and then you have to be the one to come back. If you're the one who called the pause, you have to come back
I love that.
at that time. So it doesn't
Yeah.
possibly show an abandonment or no follow through. It doesn't leave the other person in this like
I love that.
state.
I've not like heard that
It's
suggestion before.
Needed and necessary for sure. Because otherwise, some people are just like, well, what is going on over there? And are you going to come back? And it like actually breaks trust.
Right.
So it's kind of like taking the pause, but responsibly and still in like a connected place.
It makes sense. It makes me think of this like communication method that my friend Amanda shared. I keep talking about her. I love her.
Oh, that's great.
She's got so much wisdom. But she learned from another coach this communication method. I was thinking you would probably love it. And it has worked wonders for me in my life. I've mentioned it on my podcast before. Yeah. It's called the Alpha Method. I think Melanie Layer is the one that created it. But it's called the Alpha Method, and it's an acronym. And the first A stands for appreciation, like starting. And this is like if you need to like type out a letter to read to somebody, or like if you're trying to have a hard conversation. Yeah. And you say you say what you appreciate about them. The L is you say what your long-term vision with them is.
That's great. Yes.
Whether it be letting go of them or, wanting a long-term relationship. Yeah. The P is then stating what the problem is and what needs to be brought up. Yeah. And then the H is that you want happiness for both, regardless of what happens.
This is what I want to happen overall.
And then the last A is ask. You ask for what you need.
Nice.
And
I like that.
Like, it has helped me so much.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it helps because it's like hitting on certain things. It's kind of like piercing through areas that like a person might have like, I mean, we're not intentionally trying to do it, but unintentionally having guards up in certain areas. Like, does this person actually care about how I feel in this moment? Are they going to see me? Are they going to hear me? Are they going to understand it? So communicating that way, I think, can pierce through a lot of those potential walls that can go up real quick when we know we're about to be in some sort of conflict of some kind. Right. So I'm like, I totally can see that working
I feel like
well.
A big part of why it works and why what you said reminded me of it is that appreciation, starting out with that appreciation, because it helps people feel loved and not feel attacked.
Yes. Yeah, and not used, to be clear, not used as a way to manipulate, but especially if your true purpose is to be connected. Like, I really am appreciative. This is my heart.
And say what you really are appreciative, not just like
I got to do this so that you have a good response to me so I get what I want, like I know like in dangerous hands, but like I think us learning how to actually, structure it in a way that it's like, I really am trying to let you know where my heart really is. Yeah. This is really where I'm coming from and my stance. And, I think that's a great little tool.
I love it. And I wanted to flip back to one of the what we were talking to about the slowing down thing. One thing that I've noticed with like taking those moments to slow down whenever I need it, as not necessarily like in a communication form, but just like from being I'm like a busy go getter, like always working. That's my toxic trait. I distract myself with work. But in slowing down, like with learning that journey in myself, the reason that I didn't want to slow down was because I had so much to do, and I'm like, how am I going to have the time to do it? And one of the biggest lessons I've learned from starting to slow down more is that I actually get it all done and more whenever I do take those moments to slow down, because it's not coming from a place of stress anymore. Yes. Coming from a place of like wholeness. Yes. Where I can have a bigger capacity to handle things more easily. Yes. And I feel like I just wanted to like mention that.
I think that's great. Yeah, I love that.
I feel like that was a huge lesson, and it's one that's like so hard to understand. And if somebody would have told me that before I really started taking the moments to slow down, I would have been like, no. Like, that doesn't even make sense. How does it work?
Exactly. That's especially why, again, kind of threading it back, why I think you need to work with somebody ultimately at the end of the day is because there's so much data out there, like, and information of how to do all these things. Even us talking, these tools, great. Right. And you can apply some of it, but you definitely need somebody who's going to, like, really get into the inner workings of your world, help it really make sense on an experiential level and walking you through it. Yeah. Because, you can understand it to some degree, but it's almost like you don't fully understand it internally yet.
Right.
You
and
know?
sometimes you can't even see some of the patterns and habits that you have. And sometimes, like, I remember working with the girl that I worked with, that we would be in a session and talking through things, and she's like, well, I'm seeing this happen. And I was like, what?
Yeah. Like, how?
Yeah. No. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh.
That's like one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
That's why I love it, because I'll like look at body language and look at facial expressions. I'm even looking, like, I can tell when a person's even like a little dissociated and stuff. And like, I'll be like, you're dissociating right now. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
But then they get to, the more that happens, they get to,
the more awareness they have around it.
I was a chronic dissociator, and my therapist had to be like, you're dissociating. And I'm like, oh my God, am I? But then I started realizing it, and I'm like, wow, that's so helpful. And I needed this person who was committed, who's knowledgeable, but like committed to see all these things in me and help bring that to the surface and help me connect those dots.
Yeah.
And because I had all this knowledge, I just didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to actually apply it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Well, thank you so much for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so grateful, and it's so fun to reconnect
with
with a new Jena that I didn't know before, and me being a new me.
I know.
That you didn't know. Yeah. So where can people find you if they're interested in your work? Or
so funny.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what is my Instagram?
Yeah.
I think it's just Jena Brooks, maybe. Is it? Jena
I feel like there might
Brooks?
be an underscore in it, because I was doing research on you.
Jena_Brooks. Hilarious.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so Jena_Brooks, thank you, on Instagram. And then
I'll put it in the show notes too.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
And then I think it's JenaBrooksTherapy.com or co. If I'm not mistaken, for my website. But obviously in the notes, people can find it. And feel free to reach out. But even if it's like not, like, of course I have openings for one-on-one anywhere. Like, you don't have to be in Texas. But even if you have questions or like certain reading materials you're interested, just anything, like I love this. Like I want to help a fellow person out.
I love it. I saw you have a little course on anxiety.
Yeah, I do.
Or like a little document.
Yeah. It's kind of like a kind of quick, easy intro if people are interested in that. I probably am going to have more stuff in the future, to be honest.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So.
Well, thanks so much for coming. It's been such a lovely conversation. It's been great having you.
I've had fun.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning into the Authentic Heart Podcast. I'm Amber Westerman, your host, and I'm so grateful for you to be here. If you really liked what you heard, check out Jena. Leave a review on the podcast. Come find me on socials, and we'll connect more.